Hello, Suzannah.
Hello, how are you,
I'm not
Stephen?
doing too badly. I'm doing quite well. Look, you have done an amazing pivot. You've gone from science and law, and now you're running your own agribusiness. Can you tell me what sparked the move into founding Mottainai Lamb?
Well, when I was in science and law, I was predominantly an international trade lawyer working in London, and I worked around shipping, international trade, commodities, finance. And I think you saw it was in the years when we were really seeing the liberalisation of the grain industry. I worked on oil trading contracts, but I also worked on pork belly contracts. I worked on sugar contracts. And I think you get to see where that commodity goes and what that supply chain actually looks like post farm gate. And for me, it was a real moment where I looked at it and I thought, there's such an inequity that sits within this commodity supply chain for farmers. I think it's quite dysfunctional for farmers, and farmers are really at the end of the line. And whenever anything goes wrong, it's always that cut in price that keeps getting passed back further down the line until the farmers are hit with a price cut. And it's that ability to control price. So for me, the move into agribusiness was really about wanting to manage and control my supply chain and being able to take my product all the way through. I think there's nothing better as a farmer to see somebody eating the product that you've grown on your own farm and seeing the satisfaction that they get. And consumers, the provenance, the ability to ask questions, the traceability and the trust that consumers get when they can see that supply chain hasn't been broken. So that was my real goal. It was about creating an end-to-end supply chain in the red meat sector, specifically for lamb. And that was a rather ambitious project.
And speaking of supplying, you're already supplying top chefs in Perth with your lamb, and now you're launching into Boston in the US. How does it feel taking West Australian lamb to the global stage?
It's crazy. I think so often when we walk in with our product, initially, like I remember those first couple of meetings and chefs just looking at us and going, wow, you're really doing this. Like, you own your own company in America. You've imported that product yourself. You've got your own cold store. You've got your own company set up. You've got insurance. You've got employees. You've got your visas. You've got everything that you need to operate your business here in Boston. And I think, first, it's immense admiration from the chefs that somebody's gone to that level of trouble to supply them. But then what it does is it puts us in the same position as a local supplier. So the US, just like Perth, like every other country, is very parochial and protective of their own local supply, and they want to support local farmers, and they want to be connected with their food. So being able to create our own presence in Boston and being essentially a Boston registered entity. I've got my SSN, and I started as an alien 12 months ago as the process of setting this up. And now we really are placed in two countries, and we're selling our meat the same way that we do to chefs in Perth to chefs in Boston, and being able to share those stories across is great as well. And I think as time goes on, the chefs also connecting and sharing stories. So it becomes really quite a cross-fertile opportunity. And, it's funny because Perth is literally the furthest city from Boston with a population over 1 million people. So we couldn't have chosen somewhere further if we tried. And it's quite a crazy, you hop off the plane and there's snow everywhere. So, we've just done our first Boston winter, which my husband actually has done the hard haul of the February sales pitch. I came back in January and he stayed on, and then I'm back again there in March. So he's I think had the worst of it. February's always the worst month.
Can you tell me what sets your lamb apart from other lamb that we might eat?
Principally, it's intramuscular fat. So we've been able to achieve over 20% intramuscular fat in our lamb meat. So to put that in context, most Australian lamb, the average is 4.23%, which is sort of the figure that from years of research and testing that sort of pops up in all the research papers. So slightly below 5%. That's the average for Australian lamb. New Zealand lamb sits below that again, and it's about 3.9%. And there have been some brands on the East Coast come out, and there is new technologies coming out to grade lamb and start to select out the higher intramuscular fat carcasses.
Mm.
But they're selecting at 5%, and then there's a new brand that's come and launched this year at 7%. But really, what you're taking out is the bad eating qualities, whereas we're pitching for the best eating qualities. We're at the 20%. We're at a level sort of comparative to Wagyu beef, where it's an exceptional eating experience, and so we don't ever have a bad eating experience, but it's how good can we be. So we're really shooting for the stars.
Brilliant. I love to hear that. Well, Suzannah, thank you so much for having a chat with us. I'm getting a bit long in the tooth here. And congratulations again for making it to the finalists of the AgriFutures Rural Women's Award.
Thanks so much, Oz. I appreciate your call.
You're here on Rural Focus on Triple M.